We at the Last Match Standing podcast would like to acknowledge the passing of Rollerball Rocco. In the 29-year career of the Manchester native, Rollerball Rocco transitioned from an amateur wrestler to professional wrestler against his father's wishes, and he would go on to best everyone the heavy middleweight division had to offer. Becoming one of the standout attractions for the World of Sport promotion, he had what is considered to be one of the greatest wrestling matches of all time against Marty Jones, as featured in episode 30 of our show. Moving on to the Far East, Rocco would enter a feud with the legendary Tiger Mask as the original Black Tiger in New Japan Pro Wrestling. These two would go on to have some of the highest-rated matches in Japanese television history. Rocco would travel the world and feud with some of the most legendary wrestlers of all time. He will be very deeply missed, and we would now like to share a moment of silence in honor of Rollerball.
Welcome to Last Match Standing, the podcast where we review, relive, and rank the 100 greatest wrestling matches of all time. As always, I'm Spencer.
I'm missing teeth.
And I'm foaming at the mouth.
And today we are coming to you with the last of our four options on our Twitter poll to start Season 3. And it is a listener suggestion, a patron suggestion, as a matter of fact. From August the 4th, 2013, from the Bodymaker Coliseum in Osaka, Japan, we've got Tomohiro Ishii and Katsuyori Shibata in the 2013 G1 Climax tournament.
Yeah, huge thanks to Ben on Patreon for recommending this one. I mean, literally our jaws were on the floor the entire time.
Yeah. This is one of those that you watch over and over again,
Yes.
and it just never really sinks in.
He told us that it should be on the list because it's 12 minutes of two guys beating the hell out of each other, and that's exactly what it is.
That's actually an understatement.
Yeah, he's totally spot on.
So I was convinced we were watching a kickboxing match at one point.
It certainly felt that way. Before we jump into it, a couple of things that, just a little bit of housekeeping, if you guys don't mind. First of which, we have a new Last Match Standing exclusive spinoff.
We do.
We absolutely do. So as you know, on our Patreon, we do Last Mania Standing, as well as our trivia episodes. And on Mania Standing, we review, relive, and rank every WrestleMania of all time. But
WrestleMania 12 coming up.
that's right.
Yes.
But now, since we hit a Patreon goal, which we were so grateful for, just completely grateful to have reached our goal, we have decided to do an AEW crawl. And we're calling that Patreon exclusive series Welcome to the Elite.
Why are we calling it Welcome to the Elite?
A couple of reasons. The elite part is the obvious part, right? But the reason why we're welcoming ourselves to it is because of two reasons. One of them is I am on every episode, and I have not watched any AEW, which was intentional because we knew we were going to do this somewhere down the line. So everything that we talk about is totally fresh to me. But it's even more fresh to my co-host on Welcome to the Elite, Dustin.
So the reason we wanted to do an AEW crawl is because obviously we love AEW and we want to cover AEW matches at some point on this list. But we also have our producer, Dustin, who has never watched wrestling. Like he's really just now starting to get into wrestling by being a part of this podcast. And so we thought one way, hey, we're not the only people who are doing podcasting about AEW. So let's find a way to make it unique and something fun for everyone to listen to. And so this is Dustin's introduction to wrestling. So on every episode, Spencer and Dustin are going to sit down. They're going to go through all of AEW, starting with Double or Nothing. and just kind of introduce Dustin, and Dustin's going to have questions. He's going to be learning along the way. So I really can't wait to see what that comes out like.
And Billy Gunn will be there.
Yeah. One of my favorite parts about it is that Dustin and I will be staples, but I think we're going to have a rotating cast sometimes, right? We're going to have different moving parts that will lend different perspectives once we start going into the Dynamites and things like that. So that'll be really, really fun. And you can get those episodes the same way you get Last Mania Standing by becoming a Slammy Award winner on our Patreon. You get that, you get our trivia challenges as well, all sorts of really, really fun stuff. So thanks to everybody that already is a Slammy Award winner. We appreciate it.
And an extra vote on all of our polls.
Yes, that's super important, which is how matches like this one happen. But before that, I do want to say that you can always reach us on Twitter at LastMatchCast. You can find us on Facebook the same way. And then when you are listening to us on Apple Podcast or Stitcher or Spotify, wherever you're listening to us, please feel free to rate, review, and share the podcast. That means a lot to us and super, super helps us down the line as well. But let's get to August 4th, 2013.
Guys, we've discussed how much Japanese professional wrestling has contributed to the sport over the years and how we love strong style, right? We always talk about strong style is awesome. Major props to Antonio Inoki for having the vision to incorporate mixed martial arts strikes and submissions into pro wrestling, because without that, we would never have this match.
No.
Just overall, Inoki created a product that is seen as just more combat sport versus theater. And unarguably, two men that are synonymous with this style of wrestling are Katsuyori Shibata and Tomohiro Ishii. This match ranked 7th in What Culture Wrestling's top 10 hardest hitting pro wrestling matches of all time list.
I want to know what's above this.
And it ranked 9th on their most painful looking wrestling matches of all time list. This was the first G1 Climax match to earn a 5-star review from Dave Meltzer. This made it to the number 4 spot on Sportskedia's top 5 pro wrestling matches of 2013.
Yeah, and this is one of those that when you're introducing someone to New Japan, this is one of the first handful of matches you think of to introduce them to.
Oh, undoubtedly. After rewatching it again, I'm like, okay.
It's so easy to watch. It's literally 12 minutes that feels like 3 minutes.
Right, because it's something that we've talked about as a theme on this show is matches that start fast. This takes it to another level. This starts fast, continues fast, finishes fast. The whole thing from start to finish is just, it's a riot. It really is. Unfortunately, I have no referee name. And
really?
I feel like I let myself down.
Who are you?
I let the listeners down. And I let you guys down.
I feel like
Spencer, I feel like not only has this happened, but I feel like you've lost your smile. And I think that's the reason why you can't figure out who it is.
I was going to just put that this was Mike Chioda, but
but he's never been on the podcast.
Yeah,
so.
Why would he be on it now? Landon, go ahead.
I am so glad that Tomohiro Ishii is on the podcast. I love watching this guy, the Pitbull. He's insane. So Ishii was trained by Genichiro Tenryu and Riki Choshu, who is just excellent. If you haven't had a chance to see a Riki Choshu match, hop on New Japan World and watch his work with Tatsumi Fujinami and Antonio Inoki in the mid to late 80s. So good.
Yes.
And I do see a lot of Riki Choshu in Tomohiro Ishii. Ishii made his professional wrestling debut at the age of 20 in November 1996 with Wrestle Association R, which is War, was the promotion. And he was against Shoden Senshi Battle Ranger Z. And I need to know the story behind Shoden Senshi Battle Ranger. So
I want to know.
If anyone knows the history of this gimmick, please email me because I could not find a damn thing about this guy.
You can do that at lastmatchstanding@gmail.com.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
At lastmatchcast.
Email.
Ishii would remain with War until its closure in the year 2000. He spent some time working as Riki Choshu's apprentice under the organization Fighting World of Japan Pro Wrestling, eventually becoming the chairman of that promotion. He meanwhile wrestled as a freelancer and actually ended up winning the NWA Light Heavyweight Tag Championship before signing with New Japan full-time in 2006, teaming with the famed DVD salesman and marketing mastermind, Toru Yano. In April of 2009, Ishii and Yano would become the founding members of Chaos, along with Gato, Giant Bernard, Jado,
Albert.
Carl Anderson, Takahashi Iizuka, all under the leadership of none other than Shinsuke Nakamura.
So what you're saying is he was in a tag team with Albert, and they have the same facial hair.
Do they really?
There was one part I was watching this match, and he looks like Albert. And I'm like, this is 2013. He would have been like right after he left.
This is Giant Bernard. That was Albert?
Yeah.
Oh, I need to go back and
Him
watch
and
this stuff in New
Tomko
Japan.
were like they're like one of the first guys in tag champions.
Is this close to Tensai in the WWE?
This is like
what
he
year
had
was
been there
that?
for a year at this point.
Yeah.
That's like the night after was it night after Mania 28 where he debuted?
Maybe. I can't remember. I was very much tried to forget.
But I love the Chaos stable. I mean, Kazuchika
Yeah.
Okada for life. Ishii had a series of excellent rivalries throughout his career, like the groundbreaking series of matches with Tiger Mask. I mean, so this is where he would have a mask versus hair match, and that's how he ended up, bald.
I like how he kept with it though.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just you got to do it, like Kurt Angle.
Right.
You got to do it.
Well, Kurt Angle was actually going bald. That's why he did it.
And he actually ended up getting his head shaved and then unmasking Tiger Mask anyway.
Love it.
Such an
Ultra
asshole.
heel move.
Love
I love
it.
it. Eventually, he would come to wear the black Tiger Mask, which is just sort of a spit in the face to Tiger Mask. So it was Black Tiger returns as Ishii is the new Black Tiger versus Tiger Mask, so this led to them having a mask versus mask match.
Incredible.
In which he would very quickly take the mask off, losing that match. But he's still recognized as the fifth Black Tiger. Ishii took part in the inaugural Never Openweight Championship tournament, losing in the semifinals to Masato Tanaka.
Oh.
No shame there,
Oh.
as Tanaka would actually go on to win the tournament. And he would get a rematch, though, but despite losing to Tanaka a second time, this match put Ishii over with the fans in a huge way. This newfound popularity earned him a spot on the 2013 G1 Climax, where he would earn the biggest win of his career, defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi on night 2 of the tournament.
Was that the match where Tanaka actually put someone through one of those unbreakable tables?
Oh my god.
There's like I've heard about a
Oh
match
my
where like, he
gosh.
had a match with somebody, and there's like those office tables on Botchman that never break. He put somebody through one of those, and the thing exploded. And they're like, "Oh shit!"
Well, I noticed like in New Japan, the tables are so much thinner than the tables you're used to seeing.
Oh no, I'm talking like they went to Home Depot and got an office table, but
No cuts.
Welcome
I
to
know.
Home Depot. McMahon is bleeding.
Yeah, they went and got like
My
an
favorite
office
WrestleMania
table,
22 clip.
but the thing actually broke when they went through it. Sorry, I love Masato Tanaka. It's no secret. He's a
at all.
badass. He's still going strong at like 50.
Let's switch gears to Katsuyori Shibata, son of the late wrestler and referee Katsuhisa Shibata. Katsuyori began as an amateur wrestler in high school, competing at the national level in 1997. Shibata debuted for New Japan in 1999, entering the Young Lions Cup the following year, where he finished third, which is really impressive.
That is very impressive.
During the tournament, he hit Masakazu Fukuda with an elbow drop during the match, which put Fukuda in a coma. Fukuda ended up dying 4 days later. Oh. This guy is the real deal. He hits hard, and it's serious. So throughout his early career, Shibata would pursue several tag team championships with no success, and even entered the G1 Climax in 2003 and 2004. After a brief hiatus from New Japan, Shibata would return in 2006 to defeat Hiroshi Tanahashi before taking a break from pro wrestling to focus on a career in mixed martial arts.
It shows.
So,
It
right?
really shows.
Having the rap sheet of I literally killed a dude with my elbow and going into MMA, I would not want to fight this guy.
So what you're saying is he's like the new Jack of New Japan.
Oh my God.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Well, I mean, he didn't stab somebody in the ring, but he beat someone to death.
Yeah, well, I don't think the elbow drop
By accident.
necessarily was intentional.
No,
But this
they're-
guy is known for hitting hard, and you see it in this match.
Well, not to spoil anything, they both hit pretty hard. They're both bleeding from the mouth within like 90 seconds.
He did end up returning to New Japan in August 2012 alongside Kazushi Sakuraba, having mixed success as a tag team as well as a singles competitor. In 2013, he would go on to enter the G1 Climax tournament, where he finished with a record 5 wins and 4 losses, his loss against Hiroshi Tanahashi being the one keeping him out of the finals. That brings us to this match.
August the 4th, right? G1 Climax, Ishii, Shibata. Let me tell you something. It's another match on our list that isn't super long, 12 minutes and 17 seconds, give or take. And it's just,
This is making me not want to go back to long matches. Like, if the match
Yeah,
is
we've done, what, four short matches in a row?
yeah. And it feels good. You know, we opened the season with Punk and Cena, and that was a half an hour bout. We're now, 4 episodes later, episode 45. I don't think we've gone over 15 minutes.
which is just so nice. And I'm just, no, we're going to, like, next match, hour. I'm like, no.
I'm okay with that. We just covered WrestleMania 12 over on Last Mania Standing. And, I mean, obviously everyone knows the hour plus long Michaels.
I think it's like an hour and then 3 or 4 minutes with the overtime.
And that was, it can feel like a chore at times, but those kind of matches have a certain quality to them that you just don't get from these Spitfires. So, and I feel like it's going to be interesting to compare once we get to the ranking part after this match to see.
It's a whole different ball game.
It is.
So let's get into it, right? So this is not one of those, let's talk about the entrances and let's talk about...
I mean, there are entrances.
Yeah,
I just want to say for the entrances, Shibata comes out first and he's looking all mysterious and sexy. And I'm like, oh, man, let's do this. And then Ishii comes out, and I'm like, okay, here we go.
Fast start?
I'd say
so.
so.
Is there? The bell hasn't rung yet, and there's already a fucking flying high knee, and they each throw 12 elbows in a row. And I'm like, it's been 10 seconds, sir. You're bleeding.
Right. They hit each other with those forearms back to back to back, super, super hard. And then Shibata takes control with the kicks.
Oh, yes. And this is the point with the kickboxing. Sorry, the wrestling match begins.
The boot in the corner. I like what you did there.
Sorry.
The boot in the corner.
So for those of you that are trying to picture it, imagine the haluva kick, but...
It doesn't pull it at all. Like, he kicks him full force in the mouth.
It is the haluva kick.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure Ishii spit out a tooth. Like, he spit something that was not gum out.
I was convinced that his jaw was on the floor. Like not like jaw on the floor surprise, like dislocated and removed from his head.
Oh, there's a couple moments where you can see him fiddling with it. Like, okay, yeah, there's either a tooth knocked out or something. But like I said, they're both bleeding from the mouth within the first 90 seconds.
Ishii doesn't hesitate to get his payback, right? Because he immediately hits this big corner clothesline on Shibata. And Shibata comes back with the forearm. And so that's the first 40 seconds. That is the first 40 seconds.
They start headbutting each other. It's like, oh my, please stop.
Yeah. It's
Sir, please.
It's big. You'll notice kind of in the first 3 or 4 minutes of this match, when they're going to try to figure out who's going to get control, Shibata goes to the kicks. And that's where he kind of finds his niche, right? That's where he kind of finds his way to take advantage. But they start trading kicks and chops.
Oh, yeah, I love... Ishii does a snapmare takeover, and then he kicks Shibata in the back. And then he sits down, and Shibata chops him across the chest.
Yeah,
and then
they literally take turns.
No,
that
doesn't hurt.
There's eye contact. There's recognition that, okay, I respect your ability. I want you to show me the best shot that you can give. Here it is.
Kick me as hard as you can in the back.
Kick me as hard as you can.
All right, I took it. Now chop me as hard as you can across the chest.
They just go for it. And Shibata, like you were saying, he really leans in on the kicks here. So anytime Ishii tries to get sort of momentum, right? Ishii runs the ropes. Shibata catches Ishii with a boot.
Oh my gosh.
While he's running. And it's just the most brutal thing you've ever seen. And then as Ishii is on the mat, did you catch this? It's a little thing. He just extra little kick.
Back,
he's just
like a little in the back, like, it's like, yeah, it's like,
it's
dude,
just like the little
stop.
things just to make it that much more intense.
And it's at that point where I said, okay, they're actually trying to hurt each other, and you can't convince me otherwise. No more is evident than whenever, after this, Ishii gets up and just starts patting his jaw and just says, come on, and they just start throwing elbows again.
Well, the thing is, these guys love beating the shit out of people, and they both know it. And so it's like, oh, you like this too? Oh, let's do it.
Come on, hit me as hard as you can.
Yeah, this is my favorite thing.
If you knock a tooth, that's fine. It's like, I didn't like that one, so insecurity. Fuck you.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you keep waiting for a break, you keep waiting for a wrestle, right? And it never comes.
I mean, it does. It's the wrestling in this match is very staccato, whereas the fight, like the combat, the mixed martial arts, that's why I made the kickboxing joke, is very legato. It's very drawn out, deliberate, and it's punctuated by these very quick, like we get multiple suplex reversals. We get like a German suplex, fuck you, I'm going to do another German suplex, and then fuck you, I'm going to do a brain buster. Then there is what I called a pinpoint drop kick in the corner.
Oh,
that's where Ishii was like grabbing his jaw and wiggling
the running
around.
Drop kick in the corner. Just like I check my jaw.
I know. And my takeaway at this around this time in the match is I kind of figured, okay, I see what's going on here. Both of these men are known for hitting hard, and they are just trying to outdo it. And I think they've given each other a free pass to hit me with everything you've got. And you know what it does? It fires both of them up.
Well, it fires the crowd up too.
And yes, and then it goes on to fire the crowd up. And
I mean, they're on fire from bell to bell.
And so I'm watching and I'm going, this match should not work on paper, but it does. They just beat the hell out of each other, and then they start working legitimate holds. Or we get like a Saito suplex at one point that's just like a desperation off the ropes move. And I'm like, I've never seen somebody do it like that. And then we get like the chin locks as like one, and then we get Shibata locks in a Boston Crab, and I'm like super high angle lion tamer Boston Crab. Ishii barely gets those ropes, and then he just pulls him back off, and he rolls into another hold. I'm like, come on.
Yes. And so that's what I love about this match is these guys want it so bad that they do little things like they waste no time after a clean break. Like you said, it's like, okay, clean break. Okay, that's it. Let's move off the ropes and then go back to work instead of taking the extra 4 or 5 seconds.
No, there's no.
They know that's not going to get them the win. Instead, they reset and get back to work.
Yeah, there's no wasted motion in this match. There's like one rest hold.
And another thing that they do that I really love is both of these guys, whenever they go for a pinfall, they hook both legs. And it's like this little thing.
It's intentional.
Anytime that they don't hook both legs and it's just the one, it's a kick out at one.
Like
every time.
He didn't hit one. It's like immediately kicked out
until it gets a little later into the match. But it
seems like every time there is like the kick out at one, it's immediately clothesline.
But Paul,
death.
Like you were saying, this is not a technical masterpiece, right?
No, it isn't.
This is not a chess match. This is a war. And
this is attrition.
It's one of those rare moments in pro wrestling that you capture two guys who have this much respect for each other and this much respect for the business and this much ambition and desire to win.
And I would call it reckless abandon. Like they are like not afraid to hurt themselves or each other. And they are hitting.
And it results in pure magic.
Like this is a terrifyingly real looking wrestling match.
This is why the G1 Climax is such a big deal.
I know. And I just said, I mean, and there's actually a lot of restraint here because as we've kind of said, like there's no wasted motion. Everything has a purpose. But I've seen matches like this where it is just a slugfest and it's boring as shit. This is not boring. This is exciting because they're hitting each other so hard and so fast. And there's these blink and you'll miss it like wrestling sequences. Like we said, there's like a back-to-back German suplex one-upsmanship. There are brain buster one-upsmanships. There's like
guys, the headbutts, which are like hit me, and they start headbutting each other, and just oh my god! At one point, Ishii just does this fucking clothesline. No, sorry, Ishii does a lariat at one point, and I was convinced that he legitimately like they always say, "Oh man, our brain scrambling." No, he did scramble his brain there. Good Lord.
I want to take a moment to touch on, you saying that there are other hard-hitting matches that we watch that are dull and not exciting. And I want to speak to a couple of reasons why I think this one stands out as opposed to those. And a couple of things for me, one is the crowd.
Yes.
The crowd is in it from beginning to end. And it's like they're watching a horror movie. You know, like they're just blown away by the whole thing.
This entire 12-minute match is the closing 45 seconds of an exciting junior weight match where it's like, let's fire them up. No, fuck you. We're going to start fired up and we're going to stay fired up for 12 minutes and the crowd is going to be on their feet cheering the entire time.
And they were.
And it works. And like I said, it shouldn't work on paper, but it does. It works so well. On repeat viewing, it works because you're going to miss things because they're moving so fast. They did things that I forgot about, even though we just watched it again 10 minutes ago. And I'm still like, oh my gosh, we did this. But for me, just the closing sequence of Ishii just firing up and he hits that brain buster, I'm like, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, Ishii.
That is it.
We talked about the headbutts, right? Ishii hits a headbutt, sets up for a suplex. Shibata escapes. Shibata hits a headbutt. They both collapse. It's like, and if that's not the story of the whole match,
it's not just the way he collapses. It's like Ishii bounces off the ropes as if he legitimately collapsed and is trying to hold himself up. There's so many little subtle things that could have been completely accidental and we're over analyzing it, but it just works.
Well, the thing is, there was no wasted motion.
No,
that's what makes it work so well.
And I love how the match starts off like lightning round and it ends just bam, it's over. That's it. Ishii wins.
It's almost sudden.
It's very sudden. It's like this match is 12 minutes of sudden death. What is going to happen? Who is going to hit that one blow that seals the deal? And it is Tomohiro Ishii.
Yeah,
and
it's the lariat. So he kicks out at 1 after the first lariat, and then Ishii hits another one, kicks out at 2, and then at first, the first time I watched it, I was like, he won off a suplex. But it is sort of a brain buster.
Well, he picks him up, and there's a moment of hesitation, and he drops him in that brain buster, and then he just completely, he doesn't let go. Brain buster dropped, rolled over, gets the pinfall, and then immediately rolls off on the edge. And then we have this weird thing about New Japan where the match ends, audio drops out, and then 5 seconds later, the video drops out. I kind of want to see the post-match, but we don't really get that, which is my only kind of negative thing I have to say about it. But, I think my main takeaway from this match is my opinion on this is these two guys agreed we're not going to pull our punches, we're not going to pull our kicks, and these fans are going to love it. And based on that crowd reaction and based on the commentary, I'd say they were successful.
Well, the commentary is the other point that I was going to make is the crowd helps elevate this match and make it different from other hard hitters, but the commentary is incredible.
It is.
And obviously we don't understand it.
I don't speak Japanese.
We don't have to.
But I know exactly what they're saying.
Exactly.
It's good commentary can translate in any language just by paying attention to the match. When we see Shibata do these kick out at ones after getting these just devastating lariats, the kick outs, and you can hear them screaming, and I'm like, well, I know he's saying oh my god, kick out at 1, how did he do that? I know that's what they're saying just because of the context of the match, but at the same time it is just he's screaming in Japanese and I don't understand him, but I know what he's trying to tell me. I know the information being conveyed, and I don't want to turn this into a fuck commentary in certain companies, or I don't want to do that, but this just makes me really hate certain people on commentary even more.
Well, it reminded me of whenever we watched the Shinsuke Nakamura versus Kota Ibushi match, and we had the commentary, and Matt Stryker says, not that I'm pointing fingers, but he literally says, man, you should listen to the announce team. They are going crazy for this one. It's just the Japanese announce team's going crazy.
He references another announce team.
I wish you would.
Mm-hmm.
It's...
And you know what? I've defended Matt Stryker and even JR, but I said before, they were jet lagged.
Yeah, not necessarily their fault.
But Matt Stryker,
not blaming them, really just meant as more of a high five.
Yeah, but
to the Japanese announce team.
But the worst thing you could do there is reference somebody doing a better job.
Yeah,
I wouldn't go, man, they're going crazy. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to step it up a little bit. Come on, let's get a little more animated. Come on, JR, let's do this. We're calling a match.
And hey, shout out to Kevin Kelly, who is killing it on commentary for New Japan.
Well,
I absolutely loved watching Dominion. I've been keeping up.
Well, Dominion 2018, Kevin Kelly and Don Callis knocked it out of the park.
It was fabulous. If you haven't
and
watched,
the 2 times that Yoshitatsu said something
in that match, yeah.
I forgot he was there.
Yeah, if you haven't watched New Japan Cup from this year or Dominion 2020, definitely go give it a shot. It's a great wrestling.
So let's do favorite moments. For a match like this, it's almost hard to pick one because it's all so hard hitting and good.
There's no like downtime between moments for there to be a lull. It is kind of just like rising action, and then the climax is the end.
Yeah, I think for me, if I'm going to pick out a moment that sticks out, one of them is Ishii doing a spinning heel kick, just because
it comes out of nowhere.
It comes out of nowhere, and it's like, man, you just get it. And then the other moment, I think when they trade those really lightning fast snap German suplexes.
Yes.
That ends with Ishii hitting this huge lariat again, right?
It was lariat into another dimension.
Right. It showed that not only are their strikes hard, their wrestling hold and their wrestling moves and throws are harder. And that was really, really neat. So I like that part a lot.
I also really enjoyed the lightning round of German suplexes, but for me, just the opening 30 seconds.
And see, for me,
bell rings,
for me,
running high knee, elbow shots. I'm like, okay, you got me.
I could watch the closing 45 seconds of this match.
I could too, like
on
lariats.
repeat until the end of time.
Oh yeah, like lariats followed by brain busters. I'm like, come on, man. Like there is no downtime. This is a very short match, but it's like when you tell somebody, from experience, when you're told, all right, guys, you got 12 minutes. To a fan, that's nothing. To the wrestlers, that's an eternity.
Yeah,
because every moment in that ring feels like a year. So to go 12 minutes like this without pausing must have felt like running a marathon. And they did it, and it doesn't, like, watching it, it feels way shorter than it is. I imagine for them both, probably in that moment, they probably felt like it was a lot longer. And another thing I'll say from experience is knowing that you have them hooked from the minute the bell rings to the minute the bell rings again.
Makes a world of difference.
It does. So when you know that you've got them right away like that, it makes your job a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if what gets them hooked is just the hard hits. Like, all right, let's just hit harder. Let's hit harder and faster. Let's hit harder and faster and even harder. You know what I mean? And I've never hit anybody that hard in the ring. I've never been hit that hard in the ring. But that's a style of wrestling that I kind of want to get back into.
Can I ask you guys a trivia question from this match?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yes, you can.
How many forearm elbow strikes do you think there were?
Did you count them?
I sure did. How many, if you had to just guess off the top of your head?
Forearm strikes in this match.
Yep.
36.
Okay.
47.
Okay, so let me tell you that there was one moment before the big running drop kick that Shibata did. In order to get Ishii down to the mat in the turnbuckle, he hit him with 28 straight. And that was in one moment.
Oh, my God.
So the grand total was approximately 133.
What? It didn't seem like that.
100, and because they're fast and because they mix in other things, 133. And you have to remember that that number grows quickly because several times they are hitting them simultaneously on each other.
That's a good point.
And so it's 2 at a time, right? But in 12 minutes, 133.
That's going to be the number of warheads you have to eat for your trivia challenge failure.
I would like to announce my retirement from last night.
Well, guys, comes a favorite part of the show. We have to rank this mother.
It is that time.
So, this match, okay. There's a very good reason why I wanted to do a rewatch together before we started recording, and that was because what I thought happened was going to happen. My opinion on the match dramatically changed upon rewatching it as like a recap or a refresh as opposed to I'm going to take down notes.
So what I haven't heard from you yet is this is my favorite match we've ever covered, which is normally how I play bingo when we do this.
It isn't. It's not. I still am holding on hope for Alexander and Ibushi. That was like just so much fun. This was fun in a different way. This was fun in a awesome Tanaka way. This was fun in a Nakamura Ibushi way. This was fun in a T.A. Blanchard kind of way. This was fun as it was a brutal brawl. And you don't get to see that too often on lists like ours, but I am happy to say that this is going on this fucking list. And if you haven't watched it, you're going to watch it. And if you don't like it, I really don't care.
Deep breaths.
It's our list. And it belongs on our list.
It does. It does.
It absolutely belongs on our list.
And if you don't like it, we have microphones and you don't.
That
being
two
said-
turntables.
Yeah, that being said, I am torn between the analytical and the logical sides of my brain. That analytical, emotional brain wants to put this very, very high up. Another part of me wants to put it a little bit lower. But I think I can agree my gut reaction for this match. Number 19.
19. Okay.
Interesting.
I would knock out Nakamura Ibushi, and my reasoning behind that is I felt like the Nakamura Ibushi match was we're going to go strong style, we're going to hit hard, but they didn't go this hard. I felt like the downside of their match was the strong style aspects, where that was the best thing about this match. And it was on a smaller stage, but I felt like it had the desired effect and then some.
Landon, you said you were pretty confident coming into this about where you wanted to rank it.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead?
Yeah. For me,
Yeah.
this match is hard-hitting, but it's not the horror movie that we get from TA and Tully.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to take in than Cena Michaels. It's easier to take in than the X Division triple threat, and it's definitely better paced, I suppose you could say, than the Punk Joe match. I mean, that one's just relentless.
Mm-hmm.
It goes on forever and ever and ever. I mean, it's a great match, and I watch it every day of the week. But I feel like this one is just paced in a way that helps rewatchability. This is a 12-minute match that feels like 3 minutes, and I would put it right there if you couldn't tell based on the matches that I'm comparing it to. I would put it at number 13. And
So what you're saying is you would have it be a Punk Ishii Punk Oreo.
Punk Ishii Punk Oreo. Yeah, that's it.
Well,
if
if
you
it
look
rolls
at
so
it.
smoothly off the tongue, I should not even put
CM
anything.
Punk is like the two biscuits that makes the cookie.
So
I got it. And
yeah,
And
because
the foam-
like Paul is saying, I only stop it at 13 because the gravity of the moment that is Punk walking out with the title at Money in the Bank 2011. I don't know. I don't know. I could be convinced otherwise, but I would say that holds more weight. But right now, I'm going to say 13.
Okay.
okay, so for me, I had 23, and I'll tell you why.
23.
I'll tell you why. When it comes to holding the weight, I think you can go further down that list. Joe and Punk, arguably one of the best ROH matches of all time. The TNA X Division triple threat, arguably the best TNA match in history. Cena and Michaels is one of the best Raw matches in history. Tiger Mask Dynamite Kid, incredible. T.A. Blanchard, historic, right? Bayley Sasha Banks, first women's Iron Man match in the WWE. And then you go down. For me, the reason why I draw the line at 23 is because it's sandwiched between Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels. And Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit is a technical masterpiece, whereas this is not. This is a physical, brutal, brawling masterpiece. And I personally take technical over brawling as a preference, but I think that makes a greater wrestling match. We're naming the 100 greatest wrestling matches of all time, and I think that is the better wrestling match. So I'm at 23.
That's a very fair point. But what I'm taking away from this now is that the power is in my hands. Because we have the higher number and the lower number, and I'm in the middle.
So yeah, here is my retort.
Yeah.
I want to hear this.
I think the power is in Paul's hands because I
You admit that you could be convinced otherwise.
I
and
did admit
didn't.
that I could be convinced otherwise. I was thinking we could go higher. But so
Okay.
I was very much I've really felt justified with that. But there is something that you said And it was based off of my, if
Well-
we're going to talk about how much weight something carries and how historic a match is, and if that's what we're going to say, the historical significance is what makes this list, then I would still put it above 23, and
Landon.
I would put it exactly where Paul put it,
Well, hang on.
at 19.
Hang on, guys. I realized something. I've done the numbers, done the math. So
Numbers don't lie.
if we cut the difference, 23 minus 13 is 10. So the numbers say 10, but you just said 19 and agree with me. So now it's 2-1. Spencer, do you have a retort?
I do.
Yes!
I do have a retort. And I'll tell you what. When you talk about, gravity, historically, historical gravitas, things that matter in the long run, I don't see how you can put this match, which was one out of, however many the G1 Climax tournament is. It's a bunch, 32, whatever it is.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. How you can put one match from this tournament ahead of the glass-shattering women's triple threat from WrestleMania 32. Just in terms of how much it mattered. I prefer that wrestling match because I think it's really fun. I think it's the show stealer of the night on the biggest card of the year. And the G1 Climax is hugely important. Do not get me wrong. I don't want to make it sound like it's not important.
Yeah, I think this is like match number 24 out of 32. I forget. It's in the double digits.
Yeah.
The more you're talking, the more I'm like, wow, I didn't think about these numbers before I just threw them out there.
And listen, it's nothing against this match. I think it's great.
Oh no, not at all.
But I think it's more. It's not so much of a lightning in a bottle, never happens before, never happens again, like Cedric Alexander and Kota Ibushi, because these guys face at Wrestle Kingdom 10 later. So
Yes, they do.
And so there's things to compare it to. I think this match is better than that one.
And they had
Than
a
their
rematch
Wrestle
like
Kingdom
the next
match.
year that was even more intense, but not as exciting.
But it's one match out of a round robin tournament that neither one of these guys win.
Yeah.
So I think it's amazing and it deserves a spot on this list very much so. But I'm still stuck at 23.
Right. Hang on.
And I also don't want to put it next to Nakamura Ibushi just on principle.
That's understandable. So let me throw you an offer. So you're saying 23. Me and Landon are both kind of semi-agreeing around the 19 mark. So what I'm hearing is you would definitely put it behind the women's triple threat.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
could see it splitting those two women's matches.
Because I was going to say, would you feel comfortable putting it around the 21 mark?
I would be comfortable at 21. Landon looks like he is going to stare a hole into me until I give in.
I think we have an issue with 2021.
Okay.
Because I think 20 and 21, and for listeners, it's Charlotte, Sasha, and Becky. And 21 is Trish Stratus versus Lita.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like those just have some glue.
They
next
really
to each
do.
other. And,
I feel.
I don't
there's
think
no
they have
way,
to, though.
But they don't have to. And
No.
so, but I think the reason that they're there is because they both have such this gravitas that you were saying, they're history altering moments in women's wrestling. And without those matches, there wouldn't be women's wrestling
That's
as we
very
know
true.
it today.
For all
And
intents
Lita is involved in both matches.
for all intents and purposes, they are the same match, just
Different people
Bigger
involved.
stage,
and
they're
better
different-
production.
they're 13 years apart.
Right. And so
Less competent commentary on one.
And so
Yeah.
the only way we split them up is whenever we're making compromises, and this is the compromise, right?
Well, I agree with what Spencer. They don't have to be next to each other. They're both very, very big, pivotal, important moments. I feel like if a match was going to split them, I feel like this would be the kind of match that does it, where it's not quite on the level of one, but maybe just above the level of the other one.
And I like the sound of keeping the women's triple threat at WrestleMania at 20 as a threshold match. We
I
talk
do
about
too.
how important
Yeah.
those matches are.
Yeah.
So we can go to that one and say, okay, is it better than the women? Does it hold more weight than the women's triple threat? And
I don't think
is
so.
it better than Ishii?
Yeah, and I think that's really important because if we make that move, if we make it 21, then this is what our threshold matches would be. Number 40 would be Gail Kim versus Awesome Kong. Okay?
Good luck.
Number 30 would be Cactus Jack Triple H.
Great threshold match.
Huge threshold match. Number 20 would be the WrestleMania 32 Women's Triple Threat. and number 10 would be Eddie and Ray.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You know, those sound like era-defining matches.
They're all in different decades.
So I am super happy with 21, but I don't want either of you to feel like you have been robbed of your actual choice.
No, I don't at all. I wouldn't have even thrown that number out there if I didn't think it was.
Well, it is a compromise from your 23 suggestions, so I feel comfortable with that.
21?
21.
21.
This match can drink.
I got 22.
That's it. Ishii and Shibata, the 21st greatest wrestling match of all time through 45. So what's next?
It's up to the listeners. I think we we've done 4 matches straight from the previous poll, so it's time for a new poll. If
Yes.
everyone ties all 4 again, maybe we'll do 4 in a row again.
Hey,
but
that works for me.
You know what that would do if we did 4 in a row? It would lead us right on up to episode number 50.
oh, you're so right.
The golden anniversary.
I'm not going to let us talk about it. I want the listeners to tell us what they think a great 50th match should be. That's a huge milestone, right? It's right in the middle. 50
Yes,
episodes.
50.
It's huge, right in the middle of season 3. What do you think is important enough to be episode number 50?
I think it would only make sense if it were 2 guys over 50 wrestling each other, right?
Oh,
This
fantastic.
50th match.
Actually, let's make it 4 guys, 50 or so. Let's do Undertaker and Kane versus Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
You heard it here
Add
first.
Blood
Episode
Bunny.
50.
Hey!
Please don't turn off our podcast.
Hey, we're still
Please-
here. We're still here. We're kidding.
It's the winner has to remove Kane's mask match.
So, episode 46 will be coming up as we inch our way towards episode 50. We also have a couple of other really cool things in the works for you guys. So, super, super excited. That's as much as I can say for now.
Oh, very exciting
Yeah.
things coming.
But again, any comments on this episode, any match suggestions, again, on Twitter, on Facebook, at Last Match Cast, please rate, review, and share us on all the places that you listen to your podcast. We appreciate that in advance. And again, Ben, thank you so much for this match suggestion and for being a patron. It means the world. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
Ben?
thanks to all of our patrons for supporting the show. Again, we have some really, really great stuff over on Patreon. The Welcome to the Elite spinoff podcast, which is the AEW
So
Crawl.
pumped about it.
And Last Mania Standing is excellent. If you haven't had a chance to listen, we did add a free version of the WrestleMania 1 episode to the main feed, so definitely go check that out.
And I got to say, Ben, you are now officially a 2-time Slammy Award winner.
Yes. Until next time, I'm Spencer.
I'm Paul.
I'm Landon.
And this is Last Match Standing.